and unplugging the
Time has
broadband
expired.
network. Where are the
Time's expired for answering the question. Senator Ronaldson. Order. Order. Senator Ronaldson.
Thank you very much, Mr President. My question is to the Minister for Tertiary Education, Jobs, Skills and Workplace Relations, Senator Evans. I refer to the fact that the CEO of Qantas, Mr Joyce, had numerous meetings with ministers in which he pointed out the damage that the union's campaign was, once you do a bit more leaking, causing to the airline, and the fact that it could lead to the company grounding its aircraft. Given that the minister is himself a former union official, and given that 28 out of 31 senators opposite are former union officials, does the minister seriously expect Australians to believe that not one member of the government anticipated Qantas doing what its CEO had warned them about and grounding its fleet? Why didn't the minister see this train wreck coming?
Order. Order. When there's silence, we'll proceed. On both sides. On both sides. The Minister for Tertiary Education, Skills and Jobs and Workplace Relations, Senator Evans.
Thank you very much, Mr President. I thank Senator Ronaldson for his question and for reminding me that yes, I was a union official. I think it was pre-war. It is a fair while back, but I do recall. Yes, I thought I'd say it and save my colleagues saying it. But Mr President, the government has engaged constructively with both Qantas and the various unions in dispute with Qantas in recent months to do what we could do to help resolve the disputes at the heart of this industrial disputation. We have done everything we can to assist the parties. And we've also offered to take measures that have not been taken up by the parties in terms of alternative conciliation procedures. And we've tried to work as positively as we can to assist the parties. But as Senator Ronaldson would know, both sides of these disputes, the unions and Qantas, were arguing publicly that they ought to be allowed to negotiate, that they continue to bargain in good faith. They wanted the matter to be resolved by negotiation, and at no time, either publicly or privately, did either Qantas or the unions ask for our intervention. In fact, on a number of occasions, it was made clear to me that they would not be welcomed. So we were under the clear impression, as was Australia, given the public comments, that people wanted to negotiate that settlement. And they were using Fair Work Australia. Many of the parties were appearing before Fair Work Australia in conferences seeking to resolve their differences. So those are the facts in relation to the government's engagement with the Qantas industrial disputation. We were anxious for the parties to resolve those matters. We understood the seriousness of the issues for Qantas. We also understood the genuine concerns of workers about their jobs. We wanted them to talk seriously about both issues.
Senator Ronaldson.
Supplementary, Mr President. Rather than mouthing tired cliches about getting people around the table, why didn't the Minister or the Prime Minister say to Mr Joyce, don't ground your fleet, we'll intervene and thus have avoided 48 hours of chaos for the travelling public? Does the Minister seriously contend that the CEO of Qantas would still have grounded the Qantas fleet if he'd received such an assurance?
The Minister.
Look, I could say this in response, Mr President. I don't think Mr Joyce was in any doubt, after having a conversation with me, that the government's view was that he shouldn't ground the fleet. I don't think he was any doubt. And from what I've heard about Mr Albanese's advice to him, I think he too made it very clear. In fact, I pushed Mr Joyce very hard not to read me his script, but to tell me what industrial action was currently occurring at Qantas. What industrial action was currently occurring. And the best he could do is say, I should know that. Well, I did know it. I knew that all industrial action by the engineers had been suspended. I knew that the pilots were taking action. They were wearing red ties and making announcements. And the TWU had a 1-hour stop work meeting. And I asked him, did he think that justified closing down the airline and causing disruption to thousands of Australians? He wouldn't answer me.
Time's expired. Senator, order. Order. Senator Ronaldson.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Now we've pushed the button. Isn't it the case, Minister, that on your watch we've seen our borders overrun by people smugglers, a regulation that almost shut down the Queensland community service sector, and now in action that has forced Qantas to ground its fleet? Minister, isn't the backbencher who said everything he touches turns to the proverbial? He left us with this problem on border security, and he's not much better in IR. Spot on. Why shouldn't the words, Minister, "I did not anticipate it," be your political epitaph?
Oh, Simon, you've got a red tie. That's it, Simon. That's industrial action. We're going to close Parliament, gents. Close the Parliament.
Order. Order. The Minister.
Let's lock us out, Simon.
Mr. President, I don't intend to respond to the quoted criticisms that Senator Ronaldson makes. We always have a very robust democracy, and I accept that comes with the job. But I do say to him that it is a fact that at no stage did Qantas raise with the government before that Saturday afternoon that they were contemplating a lockout of their employees, the most dramatic action they could take, the equivalent of a general strike by all the employees against an employer, the equivalent of a general long-term strike. No warning to the government that they were considering that option. And when they advised them, I was shocked. I was shocked that they would take that action. The fact is, of course, the lockout. They had been public about their concerns about the impacts of the action on them, but at no stage prior to Saturday afternoon had they raised the question, the possibility of a lockout.
Time's expired. Senator Milne.
Thank you, Mr. President.